was a big one, especially after last week. Suffering the first loss there in New Orleans, how you respond that following week becomes very important. But also, it's something I want to watch. Dante Fowler, who they traded for from Jacksonville Jaguars late in this football game, he had a penalty, had a couple earlier in the game. You could see on the sideline of all the players, all offseason, we talked about lack of continuity. What about these personalities? This one guy they get from Jacksonville, is he going to be the guy that makes this locker room implode? Just watching him, I just think that it was something in the way he played during the game that it could be something that really dragged the Rams down. They're one of the least penalized teams. We criticized all this offseason. How are these guys going to play together? Who's going to control them? They have done a remarkable job. And for them to be one of the top teams in the NFL as far as least penalized, and they're going to get a player who's very, very explosive, who they need his skill on the outside. I just want to see his personality in his second game. I didn't like what I seen in yesterday's competition.
If there's a way to make up for those penalties, though, he did it. When the Seahawks were down a score,
there is no way to make up. When you're off the field on third down.
Agree. Maybe that's a poor choice of words. The point that I was trying to make is that even if that is mistakes he can't make, he made the biggest play of the game on the field. Seahawks down less than a score, looked like they were moving the football now, and he gets a forced fumble on Russell Wilson inside the 20 that allowed the Rams to go up 2 scores. So what he was, you maybe saw the bad of Dante Fowler, one of the reasons the Jags might have gotten sick of him, but also the explosive play to change that football game. But I thought there was some cause for concern for the Rams yesterday, because Seattle ran the ball 34 for 273. 34 carries for 273 yards. Once again, we said before the game, the Rams defense against good quarterbacks has been very susceptible. We saw it again with the Seahawks scoring 31, with Russell having a 123 rating, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The Rams defense has the names to be in a class above the other great offenses in football, the Saints and the Chiefs, but they're not playing at a much higher level than the defenses of the Saints and the Chiefs. So the Fowler made a big play, but the Rams defense was getting gashed throughout this football game. But once again, I didn't think Jared Goff was particularly sharp, and yet guys were running wide open, so it didn't matter that much. The Rams are going to be able to match you point for point throughout the year. This was an incredibly important win, though, because of what happened last week and who they have Monday.
Right.
A week from today, they're in Mexico City against the Kansas City Chiefs.
And watch out, because Cooper Kupp, I believe, suffered a significant injury there late in the game. They miss him. If they had lost this game and then another significant injury, those losses, they pile up quick. So I thought it was significant, especially against a division rival, to be able to get that win.
Wait, really funny story. At one moment in the game, they took a camera shot of Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald talking to each other. I mean, they took up the entire screen. And my 3-year-old turns to Stephanie and says, "Those are big guys, Mommy. Those are big guys." They were tremendous.
Oh, man.
They may not have played the best game, but they have a
Donald once again had a great game, and Suh, it's amazing when you see them on the screen together, because Suh is almost a half a head taller than Donald, and Donald is just out there wrecking.
Yeah. All right, let's turn to the NBA now. Big news this weekend. Timberwolves, who appeared not to want to trade Jimmy Butler, traded Jimmy Butler. After shooting down a deal from Houston, T-Wolves sent Butler to Philadelphia for Robert Covington and Dario Saric. So Butler now forms his own 3-headed monster in the East, joining forces with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. All right, here we go, Nick. Does Jimmy Butler make the Sixers the best team in the East now?
So I picked the Sixers to make the finals before the year. And I don't believe in changing predictions, but if I did believe in changing predictions, given how they played the first dozen games, I would have. Because they did not look like forget the best team, they didn't look like one of the 3 best teams in the East through the first dozen games of the year. But Jimmy Butler changed some things now. Now, if they play the Raptors in a series, they have 3 of the 4 best players. If they play the Bucks in a series, they have 3 of the 4 best players. If they play the Celtics in a series, they might have the 3 best players, and certainly 3 of the 4 best players. Now, a team that was lacking depth just got even more shallow, but this is...
But what does that starting 5 look like now?
Well, I mean, it looks like you've got 3 legit all-stars, 1 superstar in Embiid, 1 legit top 15 guy in Butler, and a guy in Ben Simmons who hasn't developed this year year the way I would have hoped, but was playing at an all-star caliber his rookie year, even if he just stays at that level. This is an enormous addition without sacrificing much of any of their future, see.
Yeah, I'm concerned about Philadelphia for a couple reasons. In the trade, they gave up 2 shooters. Now, this is a team that don't have a bunch of shooters. Now, if Ben Simmons had come back this offseason, which I said he wasn't, with a jump shot, because we would laugh and joke, but when you can't shoot the basketball, it hinders how good you can be. And yeah, on paper, you can say, yeah, they play Toronto in the series, they got 3 of the 4 best players. They're going to need it because their bench stinks.
Yes.
And how is Jimmy Butler going to play? Is he going to be a perimeter player? Is he going to be a spot-up three-point shooter? Because he's got to be with this team because there's not enough room to drive. Their point guard can't shoot. He's got to drive. Ben Simmons, he can't shoot. He's got to drive. So Joel Embiid, I know he can shoot the 3, but he's a post-up presence that they said this year, we want to go back to old-school basketball, put him in the post. It's hard to do that when you don't have the shooter. So I just want to see the style for which they're going to develop because, to me, when you get in a 7-game series, against Boston, against Toronto, they're going to have a spacing problem. Joel Embiid has been spectacular this season, but the other guys are not developing. Fultz, their point guard, is not developing. Ben Simmons, you could say he's playing at an all-star level. He's not developing an outside shot, so those things become a problem.
Listen, all of the points about the guys other than Embiid, well, I agree with the Embiid point as well, but all of them are well taken. But I don't want to overanalyze this. Embiid is playing like the league MVP. Embiid and Steph Curry are playing better than any 2 players in the league, and Steph's injured right now. So right now, Embiid's playing like the league MVP. He put up another 40 and near 20 game over the weekend. He has been so good. That team just added one of the best 2-way players in the entire league and gave up 2 guys that for Covington for the last year and a half and Sarge just for this year, I thought were underperforming. So Philly just got, I think, considerably better. The Simmons stuff is a concern. And for me, it's really disappointing. You know, I said last year, Ben Simmons has best player in the league potential. He didn't get better between year 1 and year 2.
As a public, you should never assume that guys are going to get a jump shot. Like we didn't know Michael Jordan was going to be who he was because we didn't know if he was going to be able to shoot.
Right.
We did not predict LeBron would be able to do 27, 8, and 8. Why? Because we didn't know. Man, how good is he ultimately going to be able to shoot? In this modern basketball, this NBA, with that three-point line, you have to be able to be able to maximize your total skill, to be able to maximize his size, you got to be able to shoot at least from 15 feet.
Sure.
Giannis did it. Giannis moved that back out to the three-point line. That's why we have him in the conversation of one day going to be the greatest basketball player. Shooting the ball from the perimeter it's a necessary evil to be able to have in the NBA.
Nick, why would the Timberwolves pass on Houston's offer of 4 first-round picks for Philadelphia's offer?
All right, so I think some people saw this trade and they said, oh, that Houston stuff must have been misreported. It was not. I can tell you absolutely unequivocally, Houston made multiple offers, all of which involved at least 3, and some of which involved 4 first-round picks. But this is the problem when the guy who's pulling the trigger on the trade is also the head coach. Tom Thibodeau wanted the following things: players, not picks; veteran players, not young players; and to send him out east instead of west so he wasn't buttressing a potential team they're fighting with for the playoffs. When you have that narrow of a window that you're looking for, you're not going to get your best offer. You're not going to do the best because Tom Thibodeau knows what's good are picks and young players if I get fired. He made, I think, the best trade for Tom Thibodeau, but not the best trade for the Timberwolves, which that franchise does. Their fans have been through a lot, and I think deserve better than someone who's worried about his own interests.
Wait, quickly, give us a little expansion. Why not a great move for the Timberwolves?
Because I don't think they got the best package possible. Like, Sarge is fine. Covington was a good story who has regressed over the last year. And you got no picks, 0 picks out of this? Like, no one that can be a blue chipper out of this?
If you want some inside information on what kind of deal you thought the Timberwolves were going to make, read Kevin Garnett's commentary when they were saying they were on trade for Jimmy Butler. And Kevin Garnett, what he said about Glenn Taylor, the owner. He said he was going to screw it up. He's going to mess this up. They said, Kevin, why is he going to mess this up? He said, because he don't know anything about basketball. they messed this one up. You should never give up those players for Jimmy Butler. Tremendous asset, and as Nick confirmed, it's real. What Houston offered those 4 first-round picks, like that was real.
And now you look at Minnesota with Jimmy Butler. They got the wrong end of the trade on the front end, getting rid of Zach LaVine, who's top 5 in the NBA right now in scoring, and Lauri Markkanen, and then on the back end, only getting this back. That's on both sides. They messed up the Jimmy Butler transaction.
Their loss, the Sixers gained today. All right, coming up, back to football. Has Baker Mayfield proven he was worth the #1 pick? That's next. First things first. It's dangerous.
Traded Zach